Chuck, this is fantastic. Listen, I've had you on one time before. This is the second time.
Yeah.
Stop making your own movie?
Yes.
You've done small clips before. Have you ever done a movie before?
Yeah. This is actually my fourth movie. This is my first feature film. So
Well,
I've made three films before, but they were all shorts.
Okay, now shorts meaning how long is a short?
Well, let's see. The longest of those is 20 minutes.
Okay. All right.
So, but that was an actual collaboration with Toei Studios and Google. And then I brought on Adidas as a sponsor, and that was an incredible thing that just happened spontaneously, and I ran with it, and I kind of turned it into something. So,
wow. Yeah. So this movie, tell me a little bit about the movie and the whole idea.
Okay, so this is a project I've been working on for a decade. And I started about a decade ago. The reason was because, as an actor, the one thing about entertainment is that it's very much kind of feast or famine. Either you're making a good living at it or you're not, basically, right? So that means in your early years as an actor, everyone goes through these periods of extreme hunger. And one of those periods of extreme hunger, I ended up getting offered a job as a stripper because I was really ripped. At the time, I was like 25, 26, really muscular. And obviously in Japan, very unique looking at the time. So I ended up working at this really, really shady club in Saitama, working as a stripper. I was a horrible dancer, by the way. It wasn't my thing. But anyways, while I was there, I just kept kind of seeing stuff. Like you'd see girls come in with like these huge bruises, and then they would just put on like skin-colored tights to cover it up. Or, you only ever knew everybody's first name, and you'd be like, well, where's such and such? And we're just like, we don't know. And then she would just kind of disappear, and just stuff like, there was all these things going on. And in effect, what I feel I was looking at was sex trafficking. Because you would have these girls that would come in from like Eastern Europe, or they'd come in from Thailand, or wherever, with promises of being able to take care of their families or getting away from arranged marriages or whatever and starting a new life. And then over the course of just like 6 months, you'd see all their hopes and dreams just taken away. You'd see the condition of their faces. Like you could physically see it in their faces, right? Of them just aging, just rapidly, right? So, and I was there for about maybe 3 or 4 months. And as a college-educated person, as a native English speaker, I had a means to get out. And then I would talk to some of these girls, and I'd be like, well, I mean, I know you're not a native English speaker, but you're still bilingual, and you still speak Japanese. You're bilingual in your own language. There has to be other opportunities for you besides just doing this, because I was watching this process, just eating these women alive, right? But a lot of them were so indoctrinated into this world. They're working 6 days a week at a wage that they can't survive on. Like the idea of getting out of that space was just, it was incomprehensible to them. They were trapped kind of in their own minds, right? So, given the fact that I could get out, I promised myself that if I could ever get to the point that I could tell these women's stories, then I had to.
And that's what you're doing now.
And that's what this film is about. It's about telling these people's stories.
What's the name of the film?
It's called Eastbound Traffic.
Okay.
Because it's about sex trafficking coming to the East.
All right, now when is this supposed to come out? When do you start shooting?
We start shooting this July.
This July, and it's going to come out when?
It's going to come out in early 2024.
Okay. Now, I plan on having several of the people on your, well, I'll make a series of this.
Yeah.
So, of this podcast. I'm planning on having people that you have on in your film on the podcast, and let them tell their side and where they've come into it and why you have them, because you have some very interesting people.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think one of your leads has been on my podcast, Tiffany Ronsdale.
Yes.
Yes. She's been on my, and she plays a very significant part in your.
She does. Yes. She does, because the thing is that I felt as though, with what happens with sex trafficking, it doesn't just happen to women. It happens to all kinds of people. And of course, there's transgender people out there that are being, systematically used in the same way, right? So the interesting thing about Tiffany is that, in effect, the character she's playing is largely based off of her own experiences. one of the things that I want to do with this film, in addition to just telling these stories, there's a few different things that make this film very, very unique. There's a few things that I'm trying to do that are very, very groundbreaking with this. One of them is the fact that, you know, three of our main actors are people that have, in one way or another, have actually come through this world and have survived it, right? So, you know, our main actress, Alyssa, she was actually raised in the area that the film is going to be shot in. Like, this is where she actually lived, right? Tiffany is playing a character that's basically based off of her life, right? So for myself, you know, I'm going to be, the character that I'm playing is fictional, but a lot of my real experiences have gone into this film. So one of the ways that this film is groundbreaking is that it's more or less based off of the real experiences of these people, right? And then taking that even a step further, another thing I did is I reached out to the International Justice Mission, which is a world anti-trafficking organization. And I sent them the script and I said, I want you to look at this script and tell me what you think in terms of its portrayal of trafficking, in particular sex trafficking, and how accurate and authentic it is based on your experience of working with people who've been through sex trafficking. And we've had this back and forth for like 6 months, where I'd send them this and then I'd put in something and they'd be like, well, we think this is accurate and authentic, we think this isn't so authentic, just to create as real and as authentic and as grounded of a story and a narrative as it possibly can be. To have it as based as much in reality as possible. So that's just one of the ways that I'm hoping this film's going to be very groundbreaking.
Now, of course, the big thing is you have to get financing some way.
Yeah.
All right.
That's always the hard part, especially as a newer filmmaker.
So what have you been doing in that aspect to get your funding?
Okay.
And how much do you need to get started?
Okay. So basically, what we need to raise $150,000 to greenlight the film.
Okay.
Okay. So then the next step after that is, of what I've been doing so far is just, you know, collecting private investors. So, and so far so good. You know, when I originally conceived of this film, I wanted to do it. I was doing it purely 100% as a passion project.
Right.
So I was going to do it just on, like, you know, maybe $50,000 because that's what I thought I could gather. You know, I thought, okay, this is what I have of myself. This is what I think I can gather just from my friends. But it's been snowballing into something bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I just won the Creative Screenwriting's Unique Voices. I just ended up getting the script we got our first laurels as a quarter finalist. And originally I only submitted the script just to get feedback. I didn't even plan on getting anything from the competition. I just wanted feedback, but I got in as a quarter finalist on that. And yeah, it's just been snowballing into something bigger and bigger and bigger. And the budget's gone from starting off at you know, $50,000, which is what I thought I could get. And then it went up to $150,000, and it went up to $300,000. You know, and now we're setting the ultimate goal as $900,000 to really, really do this film the way that I want to do it.
Okay.
Right. So up until this point, I've been gathering private investors and just meeting people and pitching and meeting people and pitching. And we've gotten up to $135,000.
Okay.
So I've also applied for 6 different grants.
Wow.
And I'm just waiting to hear back about all of them.
So you need another $15,000 to greenlight it.
Yep, just $15K is all I need to get a green light.
That's good. That's good.
The reason I said that is because, first of all, for the people that are investing, I wanted to have something like an escrow because I want people to know that I'm serious and that I'm not here to mess around. You know, so, and you know, having some kind of an escrow, it just gives people, for people that are putting in, it gives them kind of a layer of security. You know, just to say like, okay, he's actually hit a goal. He's gathered, you know, as much as he said he would gather, right? So the other reason I wanted to set that at $150,000 is because that's what I conceive as being like, you know, at $150K, I can make this movie and I can make it good. I'm real good at squeezing $1 out of 15 cents. So if I could say so myself, if I could kind of boast about that. Like, the last film, the one that I was telling you about with, that I made with YouTube and Toei Studios, I made that on $5,000.
Okay.
Right, and then that ended up getting a distribution deal on TBS Digital Distribution for Japan. The title track ended up on iTunes. and it ended up on Amazon Prime. I won like 20 awards with it, for best action, best comedy, best overall story, and I made it on $5,000.
Okay. Now, did you get your return on it? Do you feel like you got your return on that and the people that got involved?
Yeah, it's when I made it purely because the opportunity came and because YouTube offered me the chance. Because originally, believe it or not, I started my production career as a YouTuber because I'm really into martial arts, and at the time I wasn't teaching martial arts anywhere, and I had so much, knowledge from doing this for 30 years that I just wanted to share it. So I was just putting it out on YouTube, and then I ended up having a YouTube channel that grew by 1,600% in over just a few years. So then when YouTube wanted the opportunity to compete with Netflix and Amazon Prime via YouTube Red, I don't know if you remember YouTube Red.
Yes.
YouTube Japan was small, and they said, Chuck, you're not actually Japanese, but you live here, and we opened up the YouTube studio, we need people that would know how to use it. So, among the YouTubers that we have here, we want to give them the opportunity to produce a film. And then, so we're going to choose 10 people for that. And then the top 3 of those 10, we're going to give them full access to Toei Studios. So then I ended up I wrote a story, gave it to him. I wrote it in like a month, and then just gave it to him. And then ended up being one of those top 3. And then when I had full access to Toei Studios, then I thought, okay, well now I've got Google, I've got Toei Studios. So then I just went to Adidas and I said, listen, I'm doing a project that puts together Toei Studios and Toei Studios and Google. So I'm wondering if you could come on as a sponsor. So then Adidas agreed, and they said, okay, well, we're not going to give you any money, but what we'll do is we'll provide shoes for all of your stunt crew. So I'm like, all right, I'll take it. Right? And then they said, we'll give you shoes, and then we'll also support it on social media. So I said, okay, I'll take it. So then I got Adidas, and then I got Google, and then I got Toei Studios. So then I reached out to a director in the States, and I said, hey, listen, I'm doing this project with Adidas and Google and Toei Studios. Are you interested in coming in and flying for it? And he said, yeah, I'll come in. Let's do it. So then he came. So then I had an American director. He brought his own director of photography. So then, and it was just this process where it just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed. And basically the same thing's happening with this film.
That's beautiful.
So it's been amazing. When I started this, I knew what I had is good because I've been working on this story for a decade. But when I actually set out to make it, I didn't actually know that it would get as big as it is. I just knew I had something that was good. And it's amazing so far.